Whoa, we got a mess up here. Welcome back, everybody, to today's episode of Clicks and Bricks. My name is Ken. I'm going to step over here. There we go. Sean had a mess up. We apologize about that. He won't do it again, I promise. You should see the look on his face right now. He's pretty upset. Today is August 30th. My name is Ken. Today's episode of Clicks and Bricks, where every day we talk about business and technology. Glad to have you back. If you'd like to join my text line community, 314-370-2871. Hey, Sean, there's a red thing up in that right corner. Do you see that? 314-370-2871 is my text line. Just text that number, any question, and I'll do my best to answer it. It can be technology, business, life lessons, anything you want my opinion on. I'm glad to give it, other than politics. I don't want to talk about politics at all with anybody, especially in text messaging, but I'll do my best to answer your question. I'll never try to sell you anything on that text line. It'll just be information, some tips and tricks, and maybe some motivational stuff here and there. No more than 4 texts in a single month. Most months you'll get 1 or 2 texts from me, and that's about it. First story for today. This is a real bummer. Zoom dysmorphia. So this professor, Korish, who works at Harvard Medical School, she saw an instance of people, she's a dermatologist at the Harvard Medical School, and she saw an uptick in people wanting facial reconstruction or facial manipulation of some kind, Botox or fill some pores or nose jobs and things like that. She didn't think much of it, but she started asking colleagues what's going, do they see an uptick in this kind of stuff too? And they said yes. So they decided to start surveying their clients and asking why they were interested in doing this procedure today and why they'd never thought about it before. And the overwhelming response is, I've spent the last 18 months looking at myself in a video camera, and I don't like what I'm seeing. So I think it's kind of good, right? Because people that wouldn't normally kind of see themselves in that reflection normally might see something, and it would help them with their confidence just in general. But I think it's probably a bad thing to sit and look at yourself in a video camera for 8 hours a day, right? It's got to be just whittling on your nerves, especially, I've been doing this shit my whole life, right? So I'm used to seeing myself and not judging myself at all on these kinds of things, because tomorrow's a new day and you guys don't give a shit after today's episode's over. But it's really sad that all these people are rushing to get facial reconstruction work because they've spent so much time looking at themselves, they don't like what they see. I think that tells us a lot about mental health in our country and where we should be putting our focus. So I guess my advice for you, man, if you're on Zoom calls all day, use that vanity for better things than plastic surgery, right? Get on the diet, go to the gym, do those kinds of things. If you have something about yourself you don't like, change it. I'm a big advocate of that. I'm not going to hold that against you at all, but you are a beautiful person. You deserve a lot in this life. Don't be down on yourself because something you see as a negative in your Zoom calls, in your corporate meetings. Those people that you're in those Zoom calls with saw you probably, for years, if not weeks, years, maybe decades even in real life. So don't worry about so much what that looks like in virtual reality. I think augmented reality and the metaverses are going to change all that anyway, because you're just going to be able to put your avatar up there. And I think Zoom even has filters now, don't they? So, I hate the filters. Ladies, you're beautiful the way you are. The filters, the over-filter stuff, for me at least, it's not an attractive thing. It's not something I care for. I know my wife does it sometimes, and I kind of tell her, hey, you're a beautiful woman. You don't need that crazy filter. She said, it puts makeup on my face. I'm like, okay, you just be happy and do whatever you need to do. Moving on to the next topic, Moore's Law. And Moore's Law is defined. Moore's Law refers to Moore's perception that the number of transistors on a microchip doubles every 2 years. Sean's putting the description up, the definition up there, every 2 years, though the cost of computers have halved. So we double the number of transistors on a microchip, and we cut the price in half. Moore's Law states that we can expect the speed and capacity of our computers to increase every couple of years, and we will pay less for them. And we've seen that since the invention of the computer, right? Another tenet of Moore's Law asserts that this growth is exponential. Why is this important? because a $150 million machine keeps Moore's Law alive. A company called ASML has built a next-generation extreme ultraviolet lithography machine. They started this process back in 2017, but this is the machine that is etching our microprocessors now and our microchips. And all the new chips that we're talking about, the Taser chip and those stuff that have artificial intelligence built in, it's because of this etching machine that can get really, really tiny etchings on these microprocessors and microchips. So Moore's Law is, and what they're saying is that this is going to keep innovation going. This one machine build, not the one machine that they're building, the one type of machine, it's $150 million, is going to keep us Moore's Law alive in computing for at least another decade. So another 10 years, we're going to see every 2 years. You can take that definition off, Sean. Every 10 years, we'll see the number of transistors on a microchip continue to double, which means more basically neural pathways, more processing power on smaller chips, less heat, less everything. So less everything except for speed and performance, right? We're going to get more speed, more performance. It's going to cost us less money. It's going to cost us less energy, and we'll probably turn them around faster as well. So that is fantastic news. Great job to ASML for really coming up with this technology and pushing the limits so that we can continue to have new cool services and platforms that we can play with. So on to another topic. We know that the hurricane's hitting New Orleans right now. It's really sad. A lot of people are displaced. A lot of lives have been lost, and it's a really sad day. 16 years after Katrina. I've got a couple things to say about that. But on the tech side, nearly 1 million customers right now are without power in New Orleans. And it's been a catastrophe across the board. But these power outages are right now in New Orleans, but they're expected to continue to move up north, Alabama, and some other states as we track this going through the country. Tornadoes and rain and all that stuff are expected to hit everywhere else. It's really sad. It's a bad day. I just don't know how to avoid these kinds of things. There are some technologies out there that say that they could prevent hurricanes from happening long term. Basically monitoring or managing the temperature of the ocean bed, or the surface of the ocean, which is really cool. The book that I'm talking that has that stuff in it, if you want to read it, it's a really good book. Super Freakonomics has a couple of different theoretical solutions for, one, removing all the carbon from our planet, or the bad carbon, or getting our carbon footprint back to normal. And then two is this hurricane prevention kind of floating devices out in the ocean. Really cool stuff. Super Freakonomics is a great book. I highly recommend anybody to read it. Learn a lot about all kinds of different technology and history and stuff like that. Right now, we're going to talk about, this episode is brought to you by Inlink.com, Rapport Made Easy. My Inlink.com account is inlink.com/Ken. It's got all my social media profiles. It's got my LinkedIn business profile and my LinkedIn personal, along with my Facebook business and my Facebook personal. That's the difference between LinkedIn and the other guys, is they give you the opportunity to have both your business profile and your personal profile on one page. It's a really great tool. Right now, there's still a lot of names left, so get yours before it runs out. If you want that easy to remember URL, get it now. Next topic's kind of controversial, and I don't really like talking about politics, and I normally don't talk about politics, but this is directly related to politics, or to technology. The January 6th Commission gives 15 social media companies 2 weeks to turn over records related to the Capitol riot. We all remember the January 6th Capitol riot. It was a bad day in America, across the board. But the part that aggravates me about this document is that how they're asking it, right? So that they're asking these companies to give over, they're asking 15, including Facebook, Google, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Reddit, Snapchat, Telegram, Twitch, Zillow, 4chan, right? All of these. The turnover, each company has until September 9th to respond to the record request. Now, the record requests call out specific groups, extremist groups, sovereign citizens, violent extremists, QAnon, and those guys like that. Overall, but the part that bothers me is the term in this request for data turnover is any and all documents and information pertaining to the topics since April 1st, 2020. including whether policies and algorithms were implemented or not. So I just don't like the way that reads because it's vague, right? And then you as a person using social media have some decisions to make in life. And these kinds of court orders or requests for documents kind of put it to the forefront. I don't believe that if you're on Facebook and you are posting on somebody's board or somebody's forum, or you're making a comment or something or sharing a video, I don't think you have any expectation of privacy at all when you're doing those things. Now, comes into question, where is Facebook's, duty and all these social media networks' duties to, determine what privacy you get or don't get, and you have some rights to privacy in this country. So I think that on the public forums you would not have any right to privacy, but then if you want to talk about Facebook chat message, right? So if Sean and I were talking together in a private message, do I have an expectation of privacy there or not? And I don't know. I've not read the Facebook terms and services. I think the answer is no, that you have no expectation of privacy on any kind of social media platform that's public, right? If you're not paying for it, the service, and you're getting the service for free, then I don't think you have a right to privacy. I think you should have a right to privacy, but I don't think you should expect a right to privacy. And the way the American laws are written is the expectation. You have a right to privacy as long as you have a reasonable expectation of privacy. Therefore, on Facebook, as many hacks as we've had, I don't think it's reasonable anymore to think that you have any kind of privacy on any of these platforms at all, right? Which is really sad. And hopefully blockchain technology, decentralization of different technologies, decentralized communication platforms will be coming out, and you will have a right to privacy because they will be decentralized. They won't have a governing body over them, and people can spin these things up and tear them down at will. It's scary stuff when you talk about decentralization because there's part of the human psyche that says, hey, I don't really talk about anything bad. I'm not conspiring to overthrow the government. I'm not making bombs on my base. I don't do any of that stuff. So why do I care, if my government's snooping in on me or not? That's one fault, right? I'll give up some of my privacy to catch, the bad guys. Well, it's just not a good place to be, and it's not a good place for this country. I'm not going to go into the reasons why it's not a good thing, but there's reasons why we have due process and due diligence and the right to privacy. And there's a lot of reasons around that. And I think it's worth talking about and worth trying to protect or preserve at least that right. As we go into more technology, our right to privacy is going to continue to dwindle. And I think that we should just make efforts to communicate about how do we preserve that as much as possible and get all the benefits from this technology that we have, because the technology knowing us is what makes it so great in a lot of cases, right? Knowing that, hey, I need another, some nasal spray, right? Amazon just sends me nasal spray every month. It doesn't have to, I don't have to think about that anymore. Dollar Shave Club just sends me razors every month, right? So having this technology and setting up things that repeat on a regular basis really saves people a lot of time and energy. But it comes at a cost, right? Now the world knows your routines and your habits and things like that. So it's not always the best place to be. Last news article of the day, and then we're going to go through the tips, the growth tip. And I'm kind of excited about today's growth tip. I'm not sure how it's going to go. I'm going to ad-lib a lot of it. But LogMeIn purchases the password manager LastPass for $125 million. And they plan to merge the company with Meldium. Meldium? I'm not familiar with Meldium. But I am familiar with LogMeIn, and I am familiar with LastPass. I've been a huge LastPass fan for at least 15 years. I don't know how old LastPass is, but I've had it for a very, very long time, and I've used LogMeIn for a very long time as well. The fact that they're merging together is fantastic. I personally use LastPass. They were recently hacked, and that was bad. But the good thing is they didn't get any data. They don't think that any data was retrieved at all. Even the encrypted data wasn't retrieved. So that's fantastic. And they still recommended you change your master password. So that happened. I use a combination of both LastPass and Google Password Manager. I've been moving over to Google's Password Manager now for a couple of years. but I have about 30,000 usernames and passwords stored in my LastPass account. So that's kind of hard to get migrated over. I've been using it for a very, very long time. And I don't know how I'd live without it, right? Because all my passwords are different on every platform. Every server that I have has a different username and has a different password. And I'm even to the point now to where I'm randomizing my user accounts. So I've got like 10 or 15 different email accounts, and I'm using different email accounts for different platforms, especially when I'm talking about financial platforms. And one little tip, this is not our growth tip today, but a tip for Google, if you put a plus sign, so I'm going to give you my Gmail account. Please don't spam the hell out of me. My Gmail account is kenpcox@gmail.com. That's my personal Gmail account. But I can take Ken P. Cox and the plus sign, anything I want after it, at gmail.com, and it still comes to me. I don't have to configure anything. So if I'm just one little tip to keep the hackers away, if I'm using my Gmail account at my bank, I can do Ken P. Cox plus the bank's name at gmail.com. Now I've randomized my user account, and that with the random password makes it really hard, really, really challenging for anybody to get into my account unless they get into my Google account. If they get into my Google account and they do any kind of forensics, then they can probably get that. They can at least associate, oh, this is the username, and maybe reset the password. But it's a good trick for your financial accounts to randomize your username and a randomized password. So a username that you don't normally use anywhere else, which would be just a different email address, and Google's plus symbol inside the email address is an easy way to do that without setting up extra accounts and stuff like that, because it just ends up in your inbox anyway, and it's nice and filtered. You can even create filters around those. My Google Assistant is trying to do some stuff, so TikTok, if you got messed up, I apologize. That's my Google Assistant on my phone trying to do stuff. Moving on to the last topic of the day, and this is one I was just doing a little bit of research on, and it's just one really simple question that I want everybody to ask themselves every single day. And it's, are you living your life with your eyes open, or are you living your life with your eyes closed? And I think most of us will find, even myself, very frequently, I'm living my life with my eyes closed. If you find yourself throughout the day doing stuff like driving home and not remembering the drive, doing stuff in your house and not remembering what you were doing, you're on autopilot. 100% on autopilot. You're not thinking about what you're doing. You're just going through the motions. And it's sometimes it's a nice relief to just do that, but it's not any way to grow as a person, right? So, and I understand, I do it too. Most of the time when I do it, I'm doing it and I'm in the middle of a project. I'm building a data center, I'm on a big project, I'm building a website, and my days are very, very repetitive, right? And my day is really repetitive. I come in, I balance the checkbook, I meet with the team, I do the podcast, I do the same 20 or 30 things every single day. And if I let myself go on autopilot, what I realize is that I never try to grow after that point, right? I'm just going through the motions. I don't take time to really set milestones and try to push past and really look for that perfection, really look for that world-class kind of atmosphere that we all want to be. So my tip for the day is every morning, or actually just do it at night. So in the morning, you've got your routines, right? But at nighttime, before bed, take 3 to 5 minutes and just look at your whole day and try to think about things that happened in your day and how you could have made them better, how you could have pushed yourself through. If you are driving home and not remembering your drive at all, right, then that's a great opportunity to bust open an audiobook and listen to an audiobook on your way home and really be conscious of it. Those are times that you have to improve yourself, to work on yourself, to get an edge on your competition, or to improve yourself for the next day, right? If you had an interaction with somebody and you didn't get a sale, or an employee got mad at you, or a peer, had an argument with them, look in that and reflect on it and say, hey, what could I have done better for that? And a lot of like coaches and stuff will tell you, the stuff that you do in the morning is the most important and stuff like that. But I think by taking that, putting that at the end of your day and reflecting on your day would be a good way to say, hey, when were my eyes closed to the day? When was I not paying attention to something? And how can I improve myself? And if you're having frequent times where you're not paying attention to what you're doing, you're just going through the motions, stop. You're not getting the best out of life by far. Push yourself, do something different, change things up, and keep pushing through. So that's all I got for today, folks. I hope you enjoyed the show. Please hit the like. Ask me any questions that you want in the comments, the post. I'll try to answer everything. That's it for today, folks. Get to work.